Hello, y'all. Oh, I am echoing. Sorry for the delay. I had some technical difficulties getting everything set up. Like my internet was acting buck wild. So it took me a minute. I'm sorry that it took me a minute, but we are going to get started. Um, Let me just, there we go. There we go. Let me set up Instagram so they can join us. There we go. And live, and we're live on all of the things. Hello, everybody. I'll give you guys a minute to all come through. I already set up the link so the Patreon members can join us, so they should be able to see that on the Patreon. Let me just double check so we can get started. How is everyone? Let me know in the comments. How is everyone? How have y'all been? This past week, I feel like it was definitely, it was different. There's a lot of stuff that like went down this past week, and I feel like it's been a little bit of a, it's been a big wave. I feel like if you look at it in the way that we connect to the ocean, especially during Pisces season, which is such a heavy water time, it's just felt like such a big wave of emotion, such a big wave of like energy. I cried so much this past week. It was just a lot of like healing, a lot of getting things sorted and getting clear on certain things, because I think that that's one of the things about Pisces season that's really, really important. Getting clear on things you are not clear about, actively seeking the truth within the illusion or what you think is going on versus what actually is going on. So there's definitely a lot of, the energy has been like a buildup of sorts. It's definitely been something that has been a flow of certain things. Hello, everybody. Oh, Steph, you saw behind her eyes. Okay. So y'all, I warned you guys for this live that we're going to be talking about behind her eyes a little bit, just a little bit. I warned you guys last live. If you guys didn't watch it, this is your spoiler alert. If you're watching it on replay for later, we got to talk about this damn show a little bit, just at least a little bit. This show, okay. Hello, D. Hello, everybody. This show was absolutely batshit crazy. It was absolutely batshit crazy. There was a lot of stuff going on. I actually didn't see the first two episodes. I was like lost the first, from episode 3 and up, because Babe started watching it before me, and then it was like what, 11 o'clock at night or something. I was like, oh, you want to watch something? And she's like, oh, you want, we can keep watching this. I'm really confused, but I'm trying to like figure out what's going on with the show. And so she like explained it to me, and I was like, I'm confused. And then I was like, okay, well, okay, let's just watch it. And then we watched it, and it was just like a whole entire roller coaster. So I didn't see episode 1 and 2, and to be honest, I'm almost glad that I didn't see episode 1 and 2 of Behind Her Eyes. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend watching it on Netflix. That thing was hilarious. Like, I was just like, okay, so let's get into some of the tea of Behind Her Eyes, just like a little bit. So the thing about Behind Her Eyes is that the whole entire show is based on astral projection, okay? And so the fuckery then begins with trying to figure out what's going on and how astral projection is being used. Now, like I said before, I already said the spoiler alert, so if you haven't seen it, I'll see you in the replay later or whatever. But the thing about the astral projection that I personally wanted to know, and we were having a whole conversation about this on Twitter, because my Twitter fam knows, they know. We were having this whole discussion about different issues that we were having with the show. And one of my big ones was the misuse of astral projection, the misuse of how everything comes down to like the crescendo of it all, and how the plot twist ends up being the plot twist and why the show is called Behind Her Eyes and like the whole thing. So for those who are like, don't care if they get the spoilers of me talking about this, I'm just gonna like let y'all know right now. Basically what happens is that a white man, decides to use astral projection to benefit him in his quest to possess somebody else. Now, if you follow me on Twitter, you would have seen the conversation. But one of the things that I mentioned that really bugged me about this is that all form of spirituality, okay, all forms of spirituality, all form of anything that has to do with spirituality, religion, worships, anything that has to do with spirituality is inherently connected to divine feminine energy. Okay, divine feminine energy. It is not a masculine energy. Masculine anything does not rule spirituality. It is not connected to men, or not necessarily men, but the divine masculine aspect that live in all of us is not at all connected to that. The divine masculine rules the physical realm, okay? The physical realm, okay? These glasses, it rules like this teacup that I am holding. It rules anything that you can see, touch, and feel, okay? The spiritual realm is ruled within divine feminine energy. So it needs to be respected for what it is, not misused. What happens when something is abused in the way that it was in the show, like you had a dude, and he even one of the things that he said in the show was like, you should have never shown me this, because it was a woman that taught him how to astral project. He immediately went into plot how to have this whole conspiracy to kill the girl, steal her money, steal her future fiance, and take her life. Like, it went from she's using astral projection to explore within the astral world, to explore, to like really have a sense of curiosity with astral projection. And he took that and said, oh, I can manipulate this and do it this way. Like, the whole entire thing turns into how people kind of monetize, or how people kind of like try to manipulate certain things in order to make it go their way. This is one of the reasons why a lot of people say a lot of billionaires, trillionaires, millionaires, they follow astrology. They get astrology transit readings. They follow astrology very, very heavily, because astrology is, I mean, it's a fact. It's just a fact. The energy's there. And they plan a lot of things, a lot of sales, a lot of like, they coordinate a lot of things based on their transits. It's the same kind of mentality of like, oh, if I want to get myself richer or whatever, I got to plot this way. This is how I'm going to use this energy. It was the same way with doing the astral projection. For this dude, for Rob, he literally decided, I'm going to abuse this skill. Okay, I'm going to abuse the skill. I'm going to abuse the hell out of it. And I'm going to make everything go my way. Like, I'm pretty sure that the girl that taught him how to do astral projection was not even thinking about tricking somebody into switching souls with you and all of that jazz, okay? And thinking about like, oh, I'm going to go stalk and like go into people's rooms and do kind of those type of things. I'm pretty sure she wasn't thinking about that, okay? Because by nature, women are not malicious in that way. The divine feminine is not meant to be a malicious energy. And so it was interesting to me how the divine masculine tends to abuse and just rip apart and kind of create new issues within the non-boundaries that exist within the divine feminine energies. Like, it's just mind blowing to me how that was a thing. And I just feel like there was a lot of things going on within the show, but that was one of the things that I was like, the abuse. It's the abuse for me. It's just the abuse for me. The other thing is that as much as like, I live for representation, I was honestly wishing, and granted the book was written by a white woman, so obviously this was not going to be the other twist that I would have preferred, but I low-key wanted this girl's ancestors to have blocked this whole soul transfer thing that went down. Like, I would have really, really loved to see that be like, no, she's protected. You're not going to try that. Thanks. Like, I would have loved for that to happen. I would have loved for her to have known better, or have been working with her intuition, so she would have known better than to trust her, known better than to invest time in this person, so she would have gotten those downloads. One of my other biggest problems with the show is that when you're talking about working with your intuition, or even working with other spiritual anythings, okay, people within like the, I guess, creative community who write these kind of books, and they pick one thing out of spirituality and they like glamorize it, or they demonize it, or like they turn it into like a joke, or they turn it into like this, oh, look how this character used this and got away with it kind of thing, which is what happens in the show. It kind of ignores that there's other ways to address things that are being done in the spiritual realm. So had anybody in the show, I get it's a show. I get it's a story. I get it has to be translated. I get it. But had anybody been practicing protection work in the show, the immediate blockage, the wall that would have been built on a spiritual way, where like Rob wouldn't have been able to enter some of those spaces, would have created some sort of how do I want to say, some sort of like remedy to the virus that was created, if you guys understand what I'm saying. Like, I feel like it needed some protection work. It needed some ancestors to be like, not today, you tried the wrong person. Like, I really needed for that energy to come through, and it did not come through, and I was really disappointed, because it just turned into, this dude decided to commit like a soul level crime, and he completely got away with it because no one else was none the wiser. Like, nobody figured it out. Nobody could see it. Like, nobody could see it coming. There's not one person that has any sense of spiritual anything within this show, except for Rob, who apparently mastered astral projection and manipulating it to the T within this lifetime. Like, it was just, I was very frustrated with that aspect of the show, as someone who can address one issue in like 100 different ways. And I think that's the problem that I really, really have with the show. When it comes to like spirituality, when it comes to your practice, your craft, and working with spirit and doing all of these kind of things, even when you're trying to do like just getting into astro, or you're getting inspired by the show to start doing astral projection for some reason, you have to understand that there's different ways to address something. There's different ways to get an answer. There's different ways to divine something. There's different ways to work with your soul. There's different ways to practice protection. There's different ways to address an issue as well. Like, you don't always like have to light a candle. You don't always have to like have a crystal on. You don't always have to like work with herbs. There are different ways to address the same thing and see pretty similar solutions for what it is that you want. And so I was just like, it was the what for me. It was the what for me. The other thing that I got was really frustrated about is the immediate like assertion that the women in the movie, again, women are very connected, because of the divine feminine, we're deeply connected to our intuitions. Whether that be like you work with your intuition or not, there is a sense of knowing that we carry. And none of the women in the show had a sense of knowing, except for that for when for when Louise actually figured out that she knew the whole time, that Rob knew the whole time, what was going on, and how, you know, the cheating and everything that went down. But I was just like, yo, what in the fuckery is happening here? What in the how? And why do none of you guys do any protection work? Like, I was just so frustrated by the storyline. I was frustrated by the lack of accountability that Rob ended up having to take. Because if this, again, there's different ways to the whole astral projection thing could have been addressed. through a spiritual lens. And I was just like, I was just really, really frustrated. I was really frustrated with the entire thing. I was just really frustrated. Whatchamacalls it? Okay, Lana saw it too. Okay. How toxic he is. Like, Rob is not only like, it was interesting because he's like one of these people that's addicted to substances, but also knows how to do something really, really well, which definitely can, I feel like it taps into Piscean energy. Like the way he kind of went about things taps into Piscean energy a little bit accurately when it's been misused, like when you're working and through Pisces energy in a way that is like misused, over abusing substances because he was addicted. And then at the same time, working with a skill, but then also manipulating it and it being a lie and an illusion. Like the whole thing was very Piscean, but in a malicious way. And I was just like, oh my God, this is just like, I was just so frustrated. I was just so frustrated, y'all. I was frustrated. I was like, why is this happening? What is going on? Is this a thing? And the fact that the son at the end was just like, you're not, like in my head, I'm like, the son is like, you're not my mother. Like, you're just not my mother. Like, I know my mother and you is not it. It's just really sad because now that son is going to be traumatized from that soul switch. And I just, oh my God, I feel so bad for the son. I just felt really, really, really bad for the son. I didn't like the psychologist guy. I still don't trust him. LOL. No, but okay. So my thing is, and because I didn't see the first two episodes, Babe was the one answering these questions for me because I was like, I said the same thing coming out of the story. I was like, I still don't trust this dude because I hadn't seen the first two episodes. So it was just like, what's his angle fully, like what, because there's still certain things that he was doing that didn't fully make sense. And I just didn't understand why, like the flipping out, why the super control thing. Even though I understand that he was just trying to keep like Rob, like trying to figure out how Rob did what Rob did and everything. But it felt very possessive. It felt almost like a very, it felt like his soul, his character was very poisoned by the whole thing. Like it was just like and it was just like a lot of things that were happening were out of bitterness. I also don't like how he just busted up into this girl Louise's apartment, like hella comfortable, like just walked up, poured himself a drink. I'm like, okay, hello, like hi, shoot, like Jesus. I don't know. I feel like he had an entitlement kind of energy to me, and I wasn't vibing with it. I was not, but I just, yeah, no. You see, this is what I'm saying. I was not vibing with that energy. I was not. And this is what I'm saying. The protection there was a lack of. There was the protection there was a lack of. There was no other barrier, no other anything that was spoken about. It was just here, astral projection, undefeated superpower that is secretly being used by this one person to dominate this person's life. And it's just kind of like there's no other form, no other answer, no other presence other than this masculine dude, this male dude abusing this gift, abusing this power in this way. Like I was just so frustrated. I was super frustrated with this. Louise had me tight too. It's giving me into, but listen, I feel like as much as I know towards the end there was a sense of like you need to be held accountable, like you just want, there was a justice element to it, like she just wanted for things to be resolved, but in almost a legal way, like again looking at it through a divine masculine perspective, like oh no, the police are gonna come, you're gonna get arrested, blah blah blah, like in that perspective, and not in a like what is my spirit telling me to do. Like I refuse to believe that her spirit was like, oh my God, she's gonna kill herself, I gotta stop her from doing it because I want her to be held accountable. Like it was super weird to have her just run up in that house, see a fire, not call an ambulance or something. Okay, a something, nothing was called. I would have, within the time that it would have been taken her to go to the house, I would have just called somebody, be like, hey, I got some weird text message. I think this person's gonna self-harm. Please, this is the address. Go do your thing. Like, I wouldn't have put myself in a position where I would have been there, because this person also just finished cursing me out on the phone. You know what I mean? Like, literally straight up cursing me out on the phone, and then send me some cryptic, like, oh, about to kill myself vibes. Like, I would have just called someone who has the legalities to break into the house and do something about that. I wouldn't have brought it upon myself to go and save this person that has caused so much chaos in my life. Like, where's the intuition? Where is the where is it? Where's the knowledge? Like, where's the awareness? Where's the, you know what? I get it. This person's mad and they're trying to self-harm. Let me just call the police. Because what was she gonna do? Pin her down and hold her there until she finally called the police? Like, it made no sense. It just, there was no logic. There was no logic going on in the show. Towards the end, it was just, there was no. Babe says the reason she went in is to save her because she cares so much about her. And it's true. There's an aspect of Louise and her relationship where it was like, oh, I got to know you, and I wanted you to win and stuff, and I wanted you to be okay, and I felt like at that point David was harming you, and it was a narrative that was built. But then the question, like, that begs to be asked is like, so why do we co-sign and give light and care to our abusers? Because she abused that relationship. She manipulated her into believing certain things that she shouldn't have. That was a very much an abusive relationship. And as much as, like, again, you care about someone, you don't want them to be hurt. What was it necessary to drop everything that you were doing and run out? Not call for help, not call an ambulance, not call the police, not call anybody, and just straight up show up and try to do everything your damn self. Like, you're not Superman. You're just not Superman. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. So those are some of my thoughts on the show. And I feel like ultimately it was a good show to watch. Like, I'm not going to, like, shit on the show as it being like a bad show to watch, because I do feel like it's still entertaining. It's entertainment. It was still entertaining. It was still like, what it, to me, I kind of want to say it read like a book, but I mean, it viewed like a book is, I guess, what I'm trying to say. It kind of had the sense that it was like a book to me, and I knew, like, right after, I was like, this is a book. This is based on a book. I just know that this is a book. Because it had that sense of, like, the story being built and the character, the way that it was played out, it just felt like it was a book. But it was still fairly entertaining. It was entertaining to see how people perceive certain spiritual abilities. And you're going to see a lot more different spiritual abilities kind of in movies and stuff show up in this kind of way, where it's used in a way where it's just like, ooh, kind of thing. So it was just interesting. It was interesting, to say the least. Hey, Ciara. Steph said, I think even if they weren't spiritual, they still have protection, right? Doesn't everyone have spirit guides, even if they don't know about them? So yes, no, and yes is how I want to answer that question. So the thing about protection work is that if you don't work or ask for, and we have, like, talked about this before a little bit, though, when it comes to protection work, when it comes to, like, working with the angels, even when it comes to Archangel Michael, there are times that, yes, he can come through and intervene on your behalf, especially sometimes when they're, like, passed down to you and stuff like that. Sometimes there's times where, like, your spirit guides, your ancestors will intervene on your behalf and change certain things. However, if you come from a history and a line where, one, you don't work, your family just doesn't work with the spirits that you carry, they kind of die off. That connection dies off. And you see that happening a lot within certain people who inherit spirits and who inherit loas, for example, who inherit like if you literally you come from a lineage that it gets passed down to you, and the family past a certain point doesn't work with them anymore, doesn't recognize them, doesn't hold or venerate them, it just that connection dies off a little bit. So there's ways to have that, disconnected. However, when it comes to like working with spirit, working with angels, working with different gods, goddesses, and stuff like that, consent is a really, really, really important thing on a spiritual level. And we have talked about consent quite a bit before, but I think we should talk about it again because this is going to answer this specifically. Consent is important. If you don't ask for assistance, if you don't ask Archangel Michael to be present with you, he's gonna be present, but in a more distant way. And sometimes not at all. If you're not requesting for that help or that assistance to that capacity, you have to ask and give that consent, like saying, hey, spirit, can you please help me with this? Hey, Archangel Michael, can you please protect me? I'm taking this flight and I want to make sure that I'm good to go and I get there safely. You know what's going to happen? Archangel Michael's going to be with you the whole entire ride over there. If you do not ask spirit for consent, if you do not ask or work with your ancestors or have any type of history or connection with your ancestors, and you don't put them to work basically for the family, for the lineage, it's just, they're not going to be able to do anything. There's also some ancestors that are not in a place where they know how to impact the lives of the people who are still alive. There's some ancestors that they don't want to, and because nobody's working with them, it's kind of like, I'm just here or I'm not. Like, I'm just like, there's some ancestors that choose to help the family line, some ancestors that do. So it depends, but consent is a big one, because once you ask, like say, oh, please ancestors protect me today, please keep me away from things that are not meant for me, all of those like type of prayers have a huge impact. There was not one time where Louise said any of that, okay? Not at all. And so because she lacked protection, she was she was just open like bait. She was open game. And this happens a lot. And this is why you see a lot. There's that people get into some hard times, or when you don't practice protection work. This is also when other people take from your willpower, take from your power, take from your intention or sense to even protect yourself. So even if you don't think about self-protection or protecting yourself to any capacity, what ends up happening is that other people who have intentions for you, because you didn't set an intention for you, okay, you didn't say I am protected, you didn't say I have my ancestor army, I have all of these ways that I am protected, my spirit is protected, my physical body is protected. What's going to happen is that you're going to end up finding people that see you as bait, and they're going to use their willpower to attack you in whatever form that manifests in. Sometimes it can be in a very physical sense, and sometimes it can be in a more spiritual sense. And so there's layers, but if you don't ask for protection, you are not protected. If you don't do protection work, you are not protected. You're walking like bait. You're walking straight up bait. You're not kind of doing anything. And some people that have spirit guides for different things. Like your spirit guides don't all do the same thing. There are other spirit guides that are specific guides for like creativity and like just help you when you're like, for example, like let's say you have someone who's meant to be really, really creative, and maybe they have attracted some spirit guides that are really liking the way that they move creatively, and they're trying to help them navigate their creativity and push them and give them different ideas in that way. Then they'll help them in that way. But that doesn't mean that that person requested for protection from them. That doesn't mean that that's what they're going to do. That doesn't mean that that's what they feel comfortable doing. Like, you have to ask, you have to request. Okay, you have to give consent. You have to say, hey, listen, Santa Muerte, I need you to protect me today. I need you to protect me from things that are not meant for me. I need you to protect me from things that are trying to attack me or bring me pain or discomfort in my life. Like, you have to ask. It's all about consent. That's one of the downloads that I got one time for Archangel Michael when I was doing I was doing some spiritual work for somebody, and one of the downloads that I got from Archangel Michael himself was, I need spiritual consent. You have to ask me. I'm not always going to intervene on your behalf. You have to ask, because not always can we just take from your willpower. If we show up for you every time without you asking, then we are taking from your willpower. You did not intend for me to protect you. So I cannot always show up for you in that way. You have to request that I do so. So that way I can feel comfortable protecting you, not just I'm doing whatever I want. Like, this is my world and I will do whatever I want. That's not how it works. We all have our own separate willpowers. We all impact each other in different ways. And so when it comes to like protection work, which I honestly think is the most important part of anybody's craft, is protection work. Protection work and healing, unmatched. Protection work and healing, unmatched when it comes to doing the work, when it comes to protecting your spirit, your soul, having a good journey. Make sure you're healing, make sure you're protected. Those two things are so important. Everything else that follows, like love work, like money work, like manifestation, doing all that stuff, that can take a backseat to being protected and being healed. Because when you have those two things, you can then work with the rest of it. That's fine. Your money can be protected, your love can be protected. You could feel more safe and comforted knowing that you're healed and that you are protected and that nothing's going to come in and take that away from you. So it's really this kind of, that you have to have this awareness about, there's literally a lot of people out there that are walking around with no protection. And this is why a lot of really crazy shit happens to people. People get into accidents, people like get assaulted. Like, there's a lot of different things that like can go down, and that's 1000% because people are not protected. Just as much as like, we live in America and a lot of people are like guns and all this stuff and it's for my protection. Like, so it's, your spirituality should be in that level of awareness. Like, we should be as obsessed as the NRA when it comes to protecting ourselves, not with guns, but on the spiritual level, as we are with guns in the United States. If that was the case, listen, we would be in a whole different conversation. I have a 5-year-old and he sometimes walks in his sleep and said, Archangel Michael, please protect me. It was the cutest thing. Oh, that's really sweet. And one of the things that you should know about kids, though, kids have a little bit of a more, like, I want to say it depends sometimes with the kids specifically, because there are some kids, like you can see in somebody's birth chart, where they're kind of end up having to go through a couple of different things within their earlier part of their lives. It's aspected in that way. But for the most part, when it comes to kids, it's something that is really, their spirit and the angels are more likely to be present for them than not present. Like, when you're grown, once you have that consciousness, it's consent. Like, kids don't really know consent to a certain age, you know what I mean? So there is a level of protection that they have, but not necessarily. Like, this is why there are some kids that still go through a lot of hard times, and that's because their parents don't do the work that they need to do to protect their kids, and their kids don't know any better. And so sometimes, really, again, it goes into intention. It goes into, are you a walking bait? Are you walking around as bait in this world to get caught up in somebody else's more forceful intentions for your life? So it's a little crazy, but that was the answer to that. I hope that made sense. But yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts about the show, Behind Her Eyes, and I'd still recommend it to people. It's still a good show to watch. It was interesting. It was one of those, like, like the mind fuckery kind of shows, and I like those shows here and there. I feel like they're interesting to an extent, like, but I just, it's like, once I left it and I was just like, okay, spiritual Abby, like Abby who is analyzing the hell out of this, is just like, wait, no, and no. So it was just kind of interesting how everything went down and how astral projection was used, and it was a lot. It was definitely a lot. Okay, so let's talk about let me pull up the chart so we can talk about what's going on. So, ooh, so we have, why is it not? Okay, there we go. So let's just break down where the planets are right now so we can kind of start getting into the energies, the vibes. The sun is in Pisces, the moon is currently in Capricorn, Mercury is in Aquarius, Venus is in Pisces, Mars is in Gemini, Jupiter is in Aquarius, Saturn is in Aquarius, Uranus is in Taurus, Neptune is in Pisces, and Pluto is in Capricorn. There's definitely a lot of, like, there's still a lot of air in the chart, but there's also a good amount of water in the chart as well. So it's still really, I want to say, it's a really good thing to do right now, to really go through and analyze your connection with your third eye and your connection with your crown, which is a continuation of what I said last week as far as the work that we should be doing and how we should be healing, how we should be working on our practice and how we should be reflecting. Because and I'm going to say it again, Pisces season is for reflection. It is the last season within the year. This is the end of the astrological year. Aries season comes in, and that's the new year. That's the new beginning of the new astrological year. So it's a very reflective time. And I do feel like there's been a lot of downloads. Okay. There's been a lot of downloads. There's been a lot of messages that have been coming through. There's been a lot of, especially through dreams. Like, y'all, tell me if your dreams have not been more vivid, more like, for some reason, exposing your reality, exposing your feelings, exposing what you think about certain things, or even how you feel about certain, like, it's just been, I personally feel like, super vivid, super bold, super, there's just this awareness, this almost like immediate reflection that happens when I have a dream and I wake up in the morning. I'm just like, oh, that's what that meant. Like, it's just it's like a quick download. This is what it is. And it's interesting to me to see how things are getting downloaded, like what Spirit's trying to show, how our subconscious mind is translating the energy for us to kind of sponge up and absorb into our psyche. And so it's really interesting how everything has been kind of getting in that download. And I feel like a lot of people are still kind of getting lost in some of the emotional turbulence that has been going on through Pisces season, and not thinking about what it is that they're supposed to do with the information that they're given. So the question is, what are you doing? As far as we're like, think of yourself as we're swimming out into the ocean. Okay, we're swimming out. We're no longer by the shore. We're getting deeper and deeper and deeper. We're diving in deeper. We're getting in a lot deeper into this water. Okay. You're diving in deep and you're finding certain things about the way your body's reacting to that water, the way you're emotionally reacting to being this far away from land, your comfort zone. Your almost survival mode kicks in, and you're just like, oh my God, what do I do? Do I go back? Do I keep going? Do I keep pushing through? What am I doing? Is this a good idea? Am I safe here? Is it okay for me to do this? It's the questions that start creeping in while you're putting yourself in the situation where you're swimming deeper and deeper into the water. Things start getting unsure. There's an uncertainty that comes in when you're farther in through water, because you don't know what you're going to find. You don't know what lies beneath the water. You don't know how deep it goes anymore, because you swam too far in and you don't know what you don't know. And so there's this kind of sense of keep looking for the answers, keep looking for the truth, keep looking for what Spirit is trying to communicate, keep looking for what you need to know right now in order for you to progress and run when Aries season comes. Because once Aries season comes through, this is a marathon. This is a marathon, and we're running. It's a run. It's a run. Aries season, it's always that really like energy. And this is why even when you look at like 2020, for example, mid-March is when things started to like, okay, close down. Everything was just like, no, we're shutting down. We're shutting this and that. Everybody got to stay home. Do you know how frustrating it was for like every Aries in the world to be told that they can't leave and they can't do anything, because it extended that Piscean energy a little bit, and it actually ended up making things a little bit more chaotic because people went into survivor mode. Like I remember being at work and people were emptying the shelves. People were just straight up like emptying everything. We couldn't push things out, and the people were just grabbing stuff. Like it was mania in many ways. And all of this was happening during Aries season. Everybody was in panic mode. Everybody was all over the place. Everybody was over analyzing a lot of things, and people were literally actively losing it a little bit. And Aries season was in this way really misused. It was really mishandled. It was really it was like a stop. It was like, you can't run here anymore. You can't, I know you want to run, but you can't. You just can't go where you want to go right now. You're going to have a backup plan. And if you didn't have a backup plan last year, then you're going to have to figure it out. And here's a whole entire year to have this backup plan. And now you have to reset your energy, reset your intention, reset the ground that you were walking in. 2020 was a year of a really long year of reflection for a lot of people. I think that it was good for some signs and not necessarily so good for some other signs. My water signs definitely did pretty good, I would say, last year. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of the water signs and a lot of the water like placements were very triggered creatively, and a lot of things were worked on during that time. A lot of things were released, and a lot of inspiration came from the creative side, and the creative people on this world, they came through and they were pushing through on a creative level to like really make a difference within the collective and really impact the collective in a different way. And it became a way of escape, like entertainment. All things that Pisces rules became a way of escape. Music, movies, TV shows. Like everybody was binge watching everything, you know, there was binge watching marathons. And it really became the sense of like escapism. Like I need to have a different escape. I need to have a different reality. So let me just read a book. Let me dive into the show. Let me binge watch something, you know? Now, if you look at how, with all of the reflection that happened, all of the lessons that were learned, because 2020 is a generational year for us. Okay. It's not something that is gonna not leave an impact on your life, because it was the year that if you had plans set for that year, those plans flipped on its head and you had to readjust. The good thing about 2020 though is that it put certain things into perspective for some people. I think it gave people a good enough pause where they were able to actually get down to some of the nitty gritties of what they actually wanted to do. There's a lot of people that started businesses. There's a lot of people that started a new journey for themselves. There's a lot of people that they saw themselves in a different light and they wanted to be more or do more. There's a lot of businesses that started in 2020, like a ridiculous amount of businesses started in 2020 from our generation, y'all. Not from like, I'm not talking about past generations. I'm talking about our generation said, you know what? The people need this. The people need that. I feel like I would love to do this. This is what I really love doing. Let me just do it. Like, let me just say, screw it. Let me just throw my savings into this. Let me just do this. And I feel like it put things into a different perspective. It put things in a different awareness. And it was interesting. Oh, babe is on Instagram, y'all. Babe said, Gemini's too, we couldn't go anywhere. That was driving me crazy trying to find plants. No, but 100%. The air signs, the fire signs, having a really hard time. A really, really hard time with 2020. Still definitely having a hard time with 2020 and the 2020's energy within 2021 and the impact that it's had on them. Water and earth signs, I feel like earth signs kind of navigated through it as best as they kind of could within the circumstances, but there were definitely some old habits and some things that were triggered for earth signs that they had to shake, that they had to upgrade, because the way of working, the way of doing things, the way of, you know, the things that they love doing, like whether it be shopping, whether it be they were planning on getting married, buying a house, putting like roots on something, because earth signs is what we do, we plant roots. That there was definitely like a flip on those plans as well. So there was like a recalibration happening throughout all throughout everybody had to kind of deal with that energy. And so when we look at like what's happening right now, it's like, okay, now that you know more, you have all of this Aquarius like energy coming through. Now that you know more, now that you're more aware, that can now that you can literally say, wow, I went through that, I learned this, I want to work on this, I kind of know myself more, I got to reflect more, I focus on my mental health more, or my mental health like really came to a toll, like it all kind of crashed down on me and I had to like pick myself up from that. Like once you can really say, hey, wow, I went through all of this stuff and it was a rough year, but I think I needed that. I still think I needed to go through the motions of it all. And so it's definitely something that we're still, I feel like, reflecting on. We're still trying to figure out what we're going to do in this ocean, what we're going to envision for our lives, what we're going to bring into fruition, how we're going to make something. Babe just gave me my ring because she wanted you guys to know that I am wearing it. She's so cute. I literally like had taken a shower and just started like trying to work the live, so that's why. Anyway, so there's this kind of need to figure out what you're doing with your own ocean, with your subconscious energy, what messages are being downloaded and programmed to you, and what spirit is trying to communicate to you in the first place. Like, what does spirit want you to do moving forward? And this is a great time for those who are on the creative side to work out and through their creativity, and work out through some of the kinks and problems that and like friction that you guys felt prior to 2020, as far as what do you want to do with your life and what's going on with that, especially now that we're having all of this generational energy with Jupiter and Aquarius, and Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius doing all of this like very heavy upgrade and push, because that's what Aquarius does. Aquarius looks at society and says, we could do better than this. Like, we're doing this wrong, we're doing that wrong, we're doing this wrong. This is the people that are falling apart because of this. These are the people that are having issues because of this. Like, there's just this kind of, it's a flip-floppy energy, and it definitely needs to be addressed in a productive way. But you have to do it on a personal level, and then at the same time, look at what's happening to society and see how you can contribute and make whatever it is better, especially if it's an issue that you're passionate about, if it's an issue that you personally feel very deeply connected to, and how you want to address those personal issues, how you want to, like, whether that be by voting, and, with all of the, voter suppression laws that are going on, like, how are you personally fighting that in your area? How are you personally checking on that in your area? How are you supporting your elected officials in your area? If you are someone that, voted and got their preferred elected official and stuff like that, like, how are you doing the work, not only socially, but individually? Because that's what happens with Aquarian energy. There's a sense of individuality, but it's also how you shine within the masses, how you shine with others, how you shine your light in the center of the room and let others shine as well, and everybody just gets to shine together, grow together, heal together, be a society and a collective together. All of that is Aquarian energy, and we're having a lot of expansion and a lot of opportunities and things popping off with that Jupiter in Aquarius. This is why you saw how there was that huge monetary blessing that happened with the stock market, because all of these group of people decided to come together, okay, which is Aquarian energy, and said, you know what, we're gonna back this, and it blew up. It blew up into this thing, and there's so many people that got rich, and then the people who were doing the opposite, that were trying to work the opposite energy, they got screwed. And so there is this sense of working together. There's this sense of be you, but bring it to the collective. Bring those ideas to the collective. Bring it onto the table. Like, let's talk about it. Let's see how you can help society with it. Like, let's see who needs to have this idea, how we can build this up. Let's do a Kickstarter. Let's do it. Like, why not? Let's do it. Let's work on this. Like, let's make this a thing. Like, this needs to be something that can be appreciated by all people. And so there's a lot of downloads and messages, and you got to pay attention to those dreams. Because Neptune in Pisces is at work, y'all. Neptune in Pisces is at work. Pisces season is at work. Venus in Pisces is at work. Like, there's a lot of downloads, the dreams have just been super, super vivid lately. I feel like out of any year that I've had, like at this point astrologically, with everything that's going on, with everything aspected, I feel like my dreams have been more vivid during this Pisces season than in past Pisces seasons before. And it's just been listen, like chef's kiss. My visualization has been upgraded for sure, 100%. And that's the other thing about working with your vision energy and your third eye energy, that during this time is a great time to heal your third eye chakra. Great time to do third eye work to make sure that you can envision your future, which helps you with manifestation, but also that you can envision and hold space for your ancestors within your meditations, within your practice, so that way you're not lacking an essential skill that helps you move forward and manifest clearly and fast. Just like, oh, you saw it, you got it, like straight up, quick, envisioning that and having it. Like it's a powerful process. Yes, I've hardly remembered my dreams before. I'm telling you, this is a really good season to also journal your dreams and get into the practice of dream journaling during Pisces season. Is a very it's a powerful thing to do, because Pisces season is just, it's the time to work on it. It's literally the time. It's literally the time. Oh, let me just put this over here. It's the time to do a lot of that work. And it's the time to ask your dreams to show you things. And it's the time to do some astral projection if that's what you want to do. It doesn't go above my head that this show came out. I believe it came out in Pisces season. It does not go above my head. There's like downloads and messages everywhere, y'all. Like I'm telling you. I am telling you. Okay, so let's just pull some cards for the week so we can look at the energies for the week. What do we need to know for this week? What's going on collectively for this week? What do we need to know? Oh, what do we need to know for this week? Oh, God. Y'all. Okay. Bottom of the deck is the Six of Wands and Strength. You see how that fire is starting to slowly but surely creep in? You see how that fire is slowly but surely creeping in? Yeah. My mom always calls me when I'm on the lives, y'all. Why does my mom always call me when I'm on the lives? Okay, so our first cards for this week are the Knight of Swords, the Ten of Swords, the Knight of Cups. All right, and then Pink is just letting know whoever just came in the house that she about to fight somebody. So we have the Knight of Swords, the Ten of Swords, and the Nine of Cups. And then we have the Moon in reverse. We have the Five of Cups, okay? Moon in reverse, Five of Cups. Nine of Wands, King of Cups, and Three of Cups. Y'all, Nine of Wands, King of Cups, Three of Cups. Okay, so this week is definitely going to be, it's going to be a little different. First and foremost, there's this kind of rushing kind of energy happening in the beginning of the week. And I do feel like it's going to feel like an exposed wound. That's really the vibe that I'm getting from, especially these two cards right here, is like an exposed wound. Whether that be you be getting triggered this week, or whether that be you are put in a situation where you feel really exposed, and whether that be your words, whether that be your mind, whether that be like you just feel like whoa, like it's kind of like getting put on blast a little bit and like getting checked like really quickly. There's this energy of things coming into the light that are going to affect your emotional state, are going to kind of bring some, like, if you have been feeling generally in a positive way, or you've been feeling like, oh no, I'm okay, I'm doing, I'm working on this week, it shouldn't be, like a heavy week or whatever. The second you feel like, okay, I'm gonna roll, I'm doing this, I'm working on this, that, some things are getting exposed, y'all. Some things, the truth is getting exposed. The truth is coming out this week. The truth is coming out this week. There is this energy of exposing, and then because that thing has been exposed, it now has created some turbulence for you emotionally, going from this energy, okay, to this energy very quickly. There's just like the sense of, whoa, everything just kind of shifted. Like I was kind of having a good week, I was kind of okay, and then all of a sudden something just came to light, and it's taking not only the emotional piece, but this week, this is taking the wind out of your sails a little bit. It's kind of putting to question a lot of things. Is putting you in a place where you're gonna feel a little bit traumatized, feel a little bit exposed, feel a little bit like you're lacking. It's almost like you're not as protected this week for some reason. Like there's almost this lack of like the lesson that you're learning, the thing that's happening, the emotional reactions, that it's almost like it was meant to happen to some capacity, and the only reason why it was meant to happen is because the truth had to be revealed, the truth had to come out, the truth had to be known, it needed to come out, it needed to be addressed, it needed to be in your awareness. But not all truths are positive, not all truths are easy to get through, not all truths are something that it's gonna be like, something sweet, it's gonna be like eating cake, it's gonna be like, oh, I'm having a good time. Like not all truths are something positive. Sometimes the truth can be hurtful, sometimes the truth can lie on the negative side of things, sometimes it can affect and impact. While it was a good thing that you learned that truth, it has a negative connotations added to it, because now you have to process this, and it's kind of like, wait, really, now I have to do that, now I have to like be put in that position, now I have to deal with this, like now, really, like, oh my god. And so there's this sense of, you're a little sensitive this week. There's a little bit of a sensitivity. There's a little bit of a, I don't know if I can fully like trust this situation. I don't know if I can fully, I don't know if I can fully trust this person. I don't know if I can, be fully present within this time, because it doesn't feel like, I don't personally feel like I can hold space for other people right now. I don't personally feel that way. I feel like I have to pull it back because I've been exposed in this way. So there's this kind of sense of almost like, it's kind of like when in Finding Nemo, when they start going down to the lower part of the ocean where things are like dark, and they are in this place where they're just trying to look for the mask thing, and they end up finding the fish that's now trying to attack them, and they're like they're swimming up trying to get away with it, get away from it, and it's almost like, oh my god, I almost died, I almost just died, I almost just like got eaten here. It's kind of like that sense. That's really the way that it's coming off for this week, is like this, like it happens really quickly, and it just takes the wind out of your sails, and it's like, wait, whoa, what, why did I wait, huh? Like there's just this pulling back kind of energy. And the way that this is coming up, especially with the King of Cups and the Three of Cups, one of the easiest ways for you to deal with this energy and also find a resolution to this energy is to work collectively to do so. This is working with your friends, this is connecting with your like family members, your sisters, those especially because this is connected to that Aquarian energy of the collective, of working together, of communicating together. You're going to have to sort out your feelings this week, and it's going to help you. This, whatever, how this energy manifests for you, it's going to put you in the position where you're going to have to open up in a collective way, whether that be you making an Instagram post, or whether that be you hitting up your best friend, or whether that be you hitting up your sister, your brother, and saying, hey, you know what, this happened to me, this was really hard for me to go through, and just opening up in that way, putting yourself in the position where you can open up and you can liberate yourself from the situation at hand, and not necessarily feel like you are out of control, but that you are supported, that your cups can be held and are supported by the collective in a way that's bringing some relief, some nourishment to the equation, some light to the equation, because it just feels like this week's energy is a little heavier. I'm not necessarily super surprised, to be honest, because the next couple of moons tends to be a little bit more on the serious side. We currently have the moon in Capricorn. The moon then will go into Aquarius and then Pisces. And so there is this kind of like movement towards like this more reflective, this more aware energy, this very like grounded energy, and then understanding emotionally what you're grounded in, understanding emotionally what you're dealing with. And it's just y'all energy for this week. You see, argument, power struggle. This is what I'm saying. I feel like this week is a week of like it's there's a little chaos this week. There's a little bit of verbal. The throat chakra is definitely going to be used this week. This is something that's going to be a little bit triggering for those who are trying to have like start off having a good week, but then get triggered into reacting into something that they, you know, might have not wanted to fully dive in. Like if they had the option of like being pissed off and having to go through this process, they probably would have opted out of it. But there's just like this energy of like there's a power struggle here. There's fighting. There's things that are being triggered, emotionally triggering, that are going to happen, and it's not going to feel that great at the beginning of the week. Once we get towards the end of the week, there's going to be some alleviation of the energy, but during the middle part of the week, it's going to feel a little bit tense. We also got attraction and lust, and I do feel like there's some people who are actively, it's almost like a light to a flame kind of thing, like a moth to a flame. They're almost wanting to start something with you because they're just attracted to your light, attracted to how you shine, what you're doing. So there's problems that are being started straight out of like that energy, like that friction energy, that problematic energy. And so that is going to create like a little bit of a it's like a tug. It's like an emotional tug, a spiritual tug of war in many ways. This is the way that it's coming off. Archangel Michael, what do we need to know for this week? What do we need to know hold on. What do we need to know, Archangel Michael, for this week? What do we need to know for this week? Okay. So the first one is the situation is already resolved. And 100% the reason why this card is coming up is because of the prayer at hand. And it goes, I give any worries, cares, and concerns to you in exchange for true peace in all ways. Thank you for resolving this. And then it says, give details about the situation in a divinely perfect way. And this is one of those weeks where you're going to have to work with the angels to alleviate some of that not so great tension, some of that power struggle. I feel like there's just some people trying to pick some fights this week with other people for some reason. There's just like this wanting to start a little bit of chaos, wanting to start a little bit of problems, but ultimately that chaos revealing the truth, what's hidden, what you're not necessarily fully aware of, and like what that means to you now, like how you have to deal with that, the consequences of that. And so there's this kind of this need to pray, to hold space for yourself, ask the angels to pray. And this goes back to that consent that I was talking about earlier. You have to give consent. You cannot just expect to always be protected everywhere you walk and everywhere you go. You're just protected. Like, no, you have to give consent. You have to say, hey, y'all, Archangel Michael, Archangel Gabriel, can you, Raphael, please protect me, protect my health, protect my family, send protectors. You have to be specific, you have to be aware, and you have to give that consent in order for it to for it to be present. The next card is your inner guidance is real and trustworthy. Okay, your inner guidance is real and trustworthy. And the prayer says, please help me clearly see, feel, and know the divine guidance that I have asked and prayed for. Allow me to keep my ego out of the way so your wisdom can come streaming through me for my own benefit and for those around me. Y'all, I am telling you, you have to trust yourself in the way that things are going, especially, and I'm going to tell you why, because the moon card is coming up in reverse and the moon card is a card of intuition. If you feel ahead of time, you know what? Something's telling me not to go to this party. Something's telling me not to hit up this person. This person texted me today, but something's telling me to put this off, or something's telling me, not today. Then follow that. Okay, don't be a Louise. Okay, don't just run up in the house. You'll get caught up in some shit. No, but seriously, do not just ignore your intuition. Do not ignore what your inner compass is trying to tell you, because you are guiding yourself a lot of the time. When you decide, when you're in the process of making a decision, whether it's me getting up from here, going to the bathroom, getting up from here, going to get some water, I am guiding that. I am saying, Abby needs to go do this. Abby has to go do that. Abby is going to get up and do this. I am guiding myself within that. Now, working with your intuition and saying, hey, my intuition's telling me not to go to the kitchen right now. That's maybe in a couple of minutes, but not for this hour. Let me just hold off. I don't know what's in the kitchen. Okay, something could have snuck out through the window. I don't know why my intuition's telling me not to go over there, but I have to trust it, because if I do go over there and then something went down, guess what then I have to deal with? The aftermath of me not listening to myself. And so it's really, really important for you to trust yourself, trust your intuition, trust if you even are getting told, like, don't go there, don't, like, let's just say there's a family event, there's a family birthday party or family something that's happening, and you're feeling like, you know what, I know we planned this out, but I don't feel like I should go. There's something telling me that don't do it. Not this week. Don't do it. Not this week, because you're gonna get caught up into something. It might not be like a necessary thing for you to have to go through. Okay, what do we need to know for this week? What do we need to be aware of? One more card. What do we need to know for this week? Okay. All right. So we are getting open your heart. That's the first card that jumped out. Open your heart. I allow myself to feel the full range of emotions, especially all the forms of love. Open your heart. All the forms of love. Love doesn't always look like, the Two of Cups, soulmate level connection, all that. No, there's other forms of love. Love such as, I love to play video games. I love to read. I love to go outside. I love to play with my dog. There's different ways to love things. There's different things that we do love. You have to make sure that you are diving into you enjoying with it, like just falling into the things that you love doing, because those things are the things that keep you afloat when you're going through a really hard time and you're like lost in yourself. You fall back into the things that you love and that you feel really comfortable and grounded in, because of those things. Those are the things that make you happy at the end of the day. So if you get to the point this week where you're having a really hard time and you're navigating some very mucky, muddy waters, just fall into the things that you love. That's going to be your anchor, where you can just be like, oh, I feel a little bit better now that I'm working on this. I feel a little bit better now that I'm doing this. Like it'll put you in a better, like more alleviated place, versus you trying to fight with your nature, fight the emotions, fight the person, fight the arguments, fight all these things. No, just fall back into your self-love, your self-care energy. The next card that we're getting this week is patience. Patience, y'all. Patience. I trust in divine timing. I trust in the divine timing. And this is one of those cards, it's specifically when it comes to being patient, having patience, and wanting things to move faster than they are. Pisces season, when it comes to about like halfway of the month, you know, like when we're like around now, there's some people that start like, you know, counting down to Aries season because, you know, Aries season is a whole different vibe. It's a more productive vibe in many ways, even though Pisces season is very productive, it's productive in a different way. And so because Aries season tends to be a very self-focused season, it is a very, you know, like, let's get things done. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to go back to school. I want to go, I'm going to apply for a new job. I'm going to start working for this. I'm going to start building my brand. I'm going to start doing this and this and this and that. Like, it puts you in a position where you are really, really self-aware. Okay, that's that first house energy. The first house is how you show up in the world and how other people see you. So it puts you in a place where you're like, y'all, I'm here. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm bringing to the table. This is let's go. This is what I'm working on. This is my plans. I'm doing it. Whatever. Period. But Pisces season tends to be like it ebbs and flows. It's almost kind of like Pisces season is like you go to the beach. You're chilling at the beach, and at some point, you know, you have to go home. The tide is rising. You know, you can't swim anymore. It's getting a lot colder. It's kind of like people kind of start seeing that having that vibe of, I kind of have to go home now. I have other things to do. I got blah, 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 blah. But you're still there. Like, you can't leave. There's still things that need to happen. There's still, the flow still needs to be had. There's still things that you need to do on a personal level. And so it kind of switches the vibe in many ways. It switches the vibe and it puts you in a place where you're still having to be in this reflective space. You still have to be consciously aware. You still can't just leave. You can't just run from this. You have to be present. You have to hold space. And not everybody is super comfortable with having that amount of patience and waiting for the time itself to progress and move forward in the way that it does, because the sun takes, you know, a certain amount of days to move through the signs. It takes time. So you have to let it do its thing. You have to give yourself, it's almost like you see how the unicorn is just like caged. Okay. Oh, sorry, I clicked that by mistake. You see how the unicorn is like caged in there? It's like the unicorn wants to run. The unicorn wants to run, but you can't just start running anywhere. You have to have a sense of direction first. You have to know and have a plan first. And before you have a plan, you have to reflect with yourself. You have to reflect. You have to sit down with yourself and really say, like, hey, what is it that I want to do 2021? What is it? What is my direction going to look like? What do I want to work on this summer? What does my fall look like? Like, what am I working towards? Where am I putting my finances? Like, am I investing on certain things? Am I going to go back to school? Am I going to fly to a different country? Am I going to move out of the country? Like, what does that look like? What does that reflection look like for you? And how are you working with it? Now, what do we need to know for this week? Okay, 2 cards already jumped out. Like, that was just like, here you go. Okay, so we are getting, let your inner beauty shine and open your arms to receiving. Let your inner beauty shine and open your arms to receiving. Because we still have that Venus and Pisces energy still present in the chart. And Venus, like I mentioned before, is exalted in Pisces. Venus loves Pisces energy. There is this kind of sense of let your inner beauty shine and let yourself like dive into your pleasure, dive into the things that you love about life, and also to connect with things that you might not know that you might love. Like, really like diving into some of the areas of life where it's just like, hey, I'm curious about this. I want to see if I would like it. Like, let me go try it. Let me go take a class. Let me go do X, Y, C, and B. There's just like the sense of wanting to fall in love with things, not necessarily people, y'all, not necessarily people. The energy can still be there for it, but I don't think this is the week to go run into getting into a relationship right now, to be honest. There's just kind of this more self-care, self-love focus where you're paying attention to you're paying attention to what kind of care you need, so that way by the time Aries season comes and we're all running to different directions, we can say, I love the direction I chose for myself. I think it's so me. I think that I totally want to continue to do this. I think that this is something that I can implement into my practice and have it be something that is helpful and that helps me grow, help me progress in whatever form. And so there's this kind of like need to work with the heart chakra energy in a different way, in a more self-care energy, in a more self-care oriented, mentally oriented way, where you're not trying to specifically box yourself into a specific viewpoint or like relationship or anything. You're just like, I'm just in self-discovery. I just want to, I want to see if I like working on this. I want to see if I like to knit. Let me try to knit. Let me just see if I like knitting. Let me see if I can make something. Let me see if I can start drawing or creating something. Let me see what happens with that. Let me see if it's something I enjoy and something that I want to keep doing. And then we have open your arms to receiving. And the reason why we're getting this open your arms to receiving is because when it comes to moving through an emotional season, as we are in right now, we're really, it gets to the point where sometimes we get into the mindset where we need to be alone, or we need to be kind of like secluded from other people and not necessarily open up to others, or not necessarily open our communications or open our hearts or our time to other people. And it kind of turns into a little bit of a toxic emotional imbalance when it comes to opening up and sharing ourselves emotionally with other people outside of our partnerships and our relationships in that way. When you allow yourself to say, you know, I wish I just had a friend that I can talk to about this, like, or I wish I could meet some new people that I can like ask questions. Maybe they know more about this topic than I do. Maybe like I wanted to, I don't know, read this book, so let me join a book club. Like, or I wanted to learn more about making tables, so let me like join a wood making class, or let me just look at how I want to address this thing that has been, this practice that's been calling to me. Or even like when it comes to like, let's say you want to get your Reiki certification or something like that, like let me connect with some healers that I feel like would be dope, or let me ask them some questions and see how they feel about this practice, how they work with it. How do you open yourself up to receive? How do you open up yourself to connect with other people, receive not only information, but support from others? Like, how are you setting yourself up for success and not failure in that regard? The last deck we're going to work with, okay, I know I said I wasn't really going to bring it out too much, but you guys know this deck is the one. This deck is the one. We're going to be working with the Okana deck, okay? The Okana deck, which is created by Akamara Tarot, which you guys can look up not only her website, but also like her Instagram, which is amazing. But let's see what's happening for this week. What is the energy collectively for this week? What part of our shadow are we working with? Oh boy, okay. So I'm actually gonna look up the hold on, y'all. I'm gonna actually look up the card so I can read it to y'all, because she be reading us to the filth out here. Hold on. And oh,
what the fuck was that?
Oh, Luna just dropped a whole freaking thing of water on the floor. Okay, so we have, oh, found it. Plenty. Okay, watch that. Ooh, plenty. It's the card for the week, is plenty. And it says, a trifle grows where nothing else will sprout. Okay, plenty. And this is what it says. Shadow element. Also, please remember that this deck is all about shadow work. It is not a light fluffy deck. It is not a, go hug a tree deck. It is a shadow work deck. So I'm just laying it out right now. Shadow element. Even though you may have accomplished much in life, you're yearning for more wealth, not specific to money, fuels your fire to your own detriment. Many people get the verse, money is the root of all evil, completely wrong. It is not money that is the root of all evil, because the full quote is, for the love of money is the root of all evil, which means that the love of it, the greed, is the problem. This card is for the success junkies and the social validation hoarders. I'm sure you have seen rise and grind and a millionaire mentality motivational quotes littered across your feed, informing you that unless you are building immeasurable, I cannot pronounce that word right now, y'all. Immeasurable, there it is, wealth or social status, that somehow your life is wasted. But what does that mean to be obsessed with success? It goes beyond being comfortable. It is a means of validating your entire existence if you're in a consistent state of acquiring new wealth, material trophies, and status. This card suggests that you are currently getting lost in the rat race of perceived success, even if it's just a means to prove that you can do it. If you came from a meager means and want to be quote unquote somebody, your guides are asking you to establish why you feel this need to run the never ending race, or establish your own definition of personal success outside of manufacturer abundance, such as money, material goods, social media applause, external praise, etc. Okay, this is the deck, y'all. I'm telling y'all, this is the deck. This is the deck. So how are we focusing on our, this is very much this deck, I mean, this card specifically focuses on 10th house energy. If you notice, if you picked up on what it was putting down, it focuses on 10th house energy and how we live our lives through the lens of that 10th house energy and what it actually means, how we can be misusing that energy to put ourselves in certain kind of pedestals and certain kind of races that it might not be meant for us in the first place. And I say this a lot, and especially when I do readings, astrology readings, y'all. I'll be doing natal chart readings and I will straight up tell whoever needs to hear it that they're not necessarily meant to be a Beyonce, a president, you know, like not everybody's meant to be on that path. Not everybody is meant to hold that type of role. Not everybody is meant to, their energy of success is not meant to look the same as everybody else. Even though society puts you mentally in a place where you must kind of achieve like a success must look like this in order for you to have it. So there is a lot to be said about how we navigate through our own success mentality and how we connect to our what we're striving towards, what we're trying to achieve, the things that we are trying to do for ourselves to better ourselves. But is that what we're actually meant to be doing? Like there's some, I've said this before, there's some people that are just meant to be parents. There's some people that have to heal that parental energy within their soul because it has been wounded in a past life. There's some people that are meant to be creative. There's some people that are meant to create art but not see any financial benefit from it. There's some people, and you can see that in their natal chart, and that's kind of the thing about it. Your natal chart will say, hey, this is what it is. This is what energy you're carrying. These are your gifts. These are your opportunities. These are things you need to work on. This is how you're going to stand out in the world. And if it's really well aspected, this is what you can do with it. This is how you can grow with it. This is how you can have your own personal success with it. But it's not going to look exactly like everybody else. Wait, hold on. Deck is so pretty. Thank you guys. And what deck is this again? This is the Okana deck, y'all. This is the Okana deck. You guys can get this deck at akamaratarot.com, I believe it's her website. And Akamara Tarot on Instagram is her Instagram, where she posts all the updates, and you guys can stay like on top of like if you wanted to get the deck or anything like that. But it's a really, really powerful deck. It's all about shadow work. It is one of those I'm gonna check you deck. You're not supposed to be pulling it out all the time. It's you know, you don't, shadow work doesn't need to be done every single day, you know what I mean? But it's definitely something that needs to be when you need to hold space for yourself. It's one of those decks that will whoop your ass. Hey, Michaela, got out of class early, so at least I can catch the end. I'll have to rewatch later. Oh, no problem. I know that like you be in class on Mondays. No problem. But I highly recommend getting that deck. It's a really, really dope deck. I think that she's not having, I saw her post today talking about her not, like there's going to be a sale on them again, and then they're going to go offline for a bit until like later on in the summer. So if you catch it in the store, make sure you get it because it's a really powerful and amazing deck. Highly recommend it. Okay, so y'all, we have come to the end of the weekly healing circle. I've been talking for like a hot minute. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you guys got the downloads that you needed. This week, I'm going to just make some really quick announcements because y'all need to know. This week, I'm not going to be here like the weekends, like from Thursday to the Sunday. I'm not going to be here because I'm going to be flying out somewhere. You guys will get that vlog later, okay? You guys will get the vlog, okay? So you guys can see that. But yeah, so I'm not gonna actually be here this week. So all of the updates for this week are going up before Wednesday. So the patrons already got the weekly video poll posted. I have to upload the weekly messages from the Akashic Records, which is their weekly pick a card reading. That's the only thing that I have to upload besides the book coven post for this week. Other than that, I'm going to be gone for the week, y'all. So I'm working through natal chart readings. So all natal chart readings are going to be done and sent by Wednesday. And I got some orders in this week, which I'm going to try to send out before, you know, it hits next week. So yeah, I'm just giving y'all this updates right now. Also, for the workshop for this month, it is halfway sold out. If you want to come through for the workshop, the Higher Self workshop, make sure you sign up. The link will be in the description box. For those on TikTok, if you would like to join that workshop, the link will be on bio. For those on Instagram, the link will be on bio for that workshop as well. I'm really, really excited for that workshop because I'm going to be finally publishing and sending you guys out a workbook that you guys we're gonna be using during that workshop. And it's really exciting because it's all about working with your higher self, getting to know yourself on a deep level, and it's going to be the first part of the rest of the workshops that come through during 2021. So I'm really excited about it. So make sure you get your tickets so that way you don't miss out on that live, because it is a private live and it's just going to be for the workshop itself. And yeah, I hope that you guys have a beautiful night. I will definitely see you loves in the next one. Have a beautiful, beautiful night, guys. Bye.